Drink Tank.
So today, we are here to review Flash Gordon.
No, it's not Flash Gordon. It's The Flash.
That's what we watched?
Yes,
But didn't that one guy have the hat?
he had a Flash hat.
That's not Flash Gordon.
That is not Flash Gordon.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of, we're calling it Drink Tank now.
Okay.
Yeah, alcohol-free Drink Tank this time.
Yes.
But as mentioned, not even alluded to, mentioned, we just got back from seeing The Flash.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with a no spoiler review for it real quick. I'll just go over it real fast. I overall was surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I was shocked. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour runtime, which usually for me is a no-go. But I was impressed. The story was serviceable. The acting was better than I had a reasonable expectation of.
Oh, yeah.
The action sequences worked for me, and honestly, like, that might be the end. That might be the last of the good superhero movies. We may have just witnessed the last of the good superhero movies for a while.
I don't know what's on Marvel's docket, but it's funny that you say 2.5 hours or 2 hours, 36 minutes, because literally it didn't start for 25 minutes after the runtime.
Yeah, so we were there for
There were
3 hours.
25 minutes of previews.
Yeah.
No joke. We went there at 11:35. It was noon by the time it started.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't actually know the Marvel lineup, so as far as I know, that actually might be the last superhero movie. Next up, we have Blue
DC.
Beetle.
That looks terrible.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look good.
There's going to be an Aquaman 2. DC still has Aquaman 2. That might be all right.
Maybe. Aquaman was all right.
I love the first one.
It had its moments, but no. So as we discussed very briefly on the car ride home, we just wanted to talk general impressions, and
Right.
we both were pleasantly surprised. If not, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the general gist of the movie is that it's just a fun superhero movie.
Yeah. You've seen the trailers. Barry Allen goes back in time, stops his mom from being killed, and creates the Flashpoint Paradox. Fans of the comics, especially the Flashpoint Paradox that the story's based on, you'll pick up on a few references, but even if you don't know the comics, highly recommend go see it. It was fun. It was a fun 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that is the thing. There were a lot of references. There
Yes.
were, I'm sure, very highly paid cameos that probably didn't need to be there, like Gal Gadot and
This is
all the Justice League. Didn't
This is
really
just
need
the
to
very
be there,
beginning of the
honestly.
movie, by the way. It's like the first 20 minutes.
It's cameos.
Yeah, it's
And,
immaterial to the plot.
But the Justice League didn't really need to show up.
It's
Like,
fine. It's the last hurrah, really.
you know how much money they probably asked for those? Like, how much is WB throwing away? Well, we need Batfleck in it. Why? We need Gal Gadot in it. Why?
Because those are the heroes from that universe. It's to establish that universe. Though I will say, establishing which universe it is, because I talked to you after the movie, I was surprised that they had recast the father. So in Justice League, I'm pretty sure it's Billy Crudup. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't care. But it's Ron Livingston in this one. So I was expecting them to do like a double fake, and it turns out this is not the Flash our Flash. It's a different Flash.
I mean, for all we know, it might not have been, and it wouldn't matter. And it doesn't matter either way.
Doesn't matter either way.
Realistically,
Immaterial.
it's not part of the DCEU.
Because it doesn't.
If you don't want it to be part of the DCEU, it's not, because it spends. I mean, as you know, there's time travel and stuff. It spends all of its time outside of the
established
the Man of Steel through Shazam 2 universe.
You're right. It does. So before we jump into spoilers, do you recommend it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for something light and interesting, I mean, not really, maybe not interesting. They did a good job with time travel not having.
Yeah.
Even if it did have paradoxes with the time travel, because you can't do time travel well in a movie.
You can't.
They did a good enough job where they're just like, we're not going to try to explain the rules.
Right.
So they did a good job with the time travel. They did a good job with the casting.
They did
I
a
hate
good
to
job
say
with
it.
the casting. Yeah, we went into it. It was funny because I said I was joking, and we're not going to get too political here or anything like that. But I did say if any children were watching the movie, does that count as a police lineup? That's the one, mommy. Ezra Miller's the one who kidnapped me. You know, like I don't want to get too much into the legal troubles of Ezra Miller and why they were very famously kept out of the press junket. Because of impending legal things. But I gotta say, I was probably most impressed with Ezra Miller's acting It's not easy to play two versions of yourself and
do it well, make them different characters.
They're completely different characters. I never once felt like, I mean, it was good. It was good. It's summer. There's probably some bad weather. You could do a lot worse than going to see The Flash.
Yeah.
The production team worked really hard on it. You can tell they were passionate about it. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, and it's well worth supporting that.
Yeah, I think the one other thing that I noticed was the CGI ranged from good to terrible.
Yes.
Like in some scenes you could see everything going on.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And then in other scenes it was like
yeah.
Well, let's go into spoilers real quick.
All right, so anyways, so we recommend seeing it. So this is your warning if you're still sticking around. We're going into spoilers because I think talking about the CGI, you can't help but the production on this thing was famously difficult and extended with tons of reshoots and I mean like if this is the result of that like Frankenstein, putting his monster together, they did a pretty good job hiding most of the seams except for that CGI at times.
Yeah. So into the spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the CGI. Well, maybe not starting with the CGI.
No, we can because it's part of the production. So it's very famously a multiversal movie. They include the multiverse.
Yeah.
Now, when he enters the Speed Force, the special effects are not supposed to look photorealistic. They're supposed to be
Right.
They're supposed to be like surreal.
It looked like Mexico in Breaking Bad. Just yellow.
And then like the people looked very waxy. Like
especially so at the end of the movie, there is a scene where the multiverses are kind of converging, and they're going through all of these fan service like Christopher Reeve's Superman,
right. George Reeve's Superman is
yep.
in it too, yeah.
And their faces are just totally CGI.
Yeah.
You see like the version of the Flash with the hat on, and
yeah.
and it's just all these weirdly
Garrett.
CGI'd actors.
Nicolas Cage's Superman's in it, and he fights a mechanical spider.
That is true, and that was awesome. But he wasn't Nicolas Cage; he was CGI Nicolas Cage.
I know.
Which was like, why? That guy's still alive.
Yeah, he still does stuff. I'm sure you could get it for a cameo.
Yeah, well, he probably asked for $1 million or a T-Rex skull.
Actually, you know what he asked for? He asked to have Aquafina edited out of Renfield. And they said no.
So, no, but the CGI, like, in the beginning of the movie, they do a very good job showing you exactly what's going on with the CGI.
Right.
They did that, you have to do the Quicksilver scene after X-Men, whichever. X-Men Indistinguishable Quicksilver movie.
Days of Future Past.
Okay, that was the first one. There were two.
Quicksilver, I don't think, is in the first one. He's in the second one. When
he has two scenes. One is when he's in like the lab and he's running around and he's going ting ting ting, and then one where he's saving everyone.
The saving one is from where is that? I think that's Days of Future. Actually, you're right. I can't. Or does the house explode in like Apocalypse? It's one of them. I can't remember. God,
Indistinguishable X-Man movie.
Yeah.
So they had like that Quicksilver moment because you have to when a character has super speed now. And, even though you're expecting it, it's still good. Yeah. But you could see all the babies were badly CGI'd themselves.
They were.
And the badly CGI'd dog.
Oh, terrible CGI. But God, if I didn't love that sequence. I mean, they even have Alfred say, oh my God, it's a baby. And then it cuts to Flash and he goes, shower. But it does it's such a goofy tone right out the gate.
Yes. But, the CGI, then we get to the speed, when he's speed, it's just yellow backwash, which is fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
They've got to show you in some way that he's not running a normal timeline.
Well, they can't.
Otherwise, it'd just be like,
yeah.
Oh, the Flash is, why is everyone, he's in speed,
Yeah.
Or is that character just standing still? Because they do that in movies.
They do, but in this version of it, he very famously shoots the bolts off of him, too, when he's moving in Speed Force.
Which is fine.
They do
because
he's
works. Moving at Speed Force, he should be.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's almost literally the speed of light, usually, so...
They did that cool establishing shot where, I think it's in the trailers, where it shows, like, they do, like, the foreground gets real small, and then, boom, like a slingshot effect, so...
Yeah.
They use that at first, and then they get kind of cheap with the Speed Force effects after that.
Yeah, I hated it when he was traveling back in time, and, like, you were seeing the multiple...
Yeah.
And it's just like, here's a photo of these guys, and we're just going to put 20 of those, 20 of these, 20 of those, and it was...
And what is with the way he runs? Like, his running motion looked so, especially like when you don't see like the traction of it, like when he's running through like the sands of time, and it's just like, it just looks so
But I
goofy.
think it's supposed to, because
Yeah.
when he loses it and he tries to run,
Yeah, it's very funny.
he's still running like that, like ah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Or just I mean, is he supposed to be autistic?
I don't know.
Because he kind of wasn't in the anyway.
It's hard- it's hard
in
to
the
tell.
CGI at the end of the film, it got like the battle scene was CGI clusterfucky, but not as bad as a lot of the Marvel movies.
No,
but it was still a lot of lightning and explosions, and you're like, you could show that happening a little cooler.
Yeah.
And then the multiverse, like I said, all the characters were just like,
I mean, at 2 hours and 30 minutes, you could have trimmed some of that down.
they might as well have thrown in Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher.
You can throw in anyone they want. Yeah. I mean, it looked like, it looked like that CGI from
Star
Rogue One.
Wars, yeah.
It was not great. But aside from and it's a shame because it really did kind of pull you out of the movie from time to time when it was like just that campy, plasticky look. And
Well, I mean, it's still at the same time. I didn't care when I was watching the
didn't care
movie
either, but it's just
I'm just nitpicking now
jarring.
because we were talking about some of the negatives.
Right.
Because why not start with the negatives? Because the positives that's going to be longer.
I think the positives far outweigh the negative in this one. I really do. I like I said, surprised. It might be recency bias because we just saw it, but I don't think so. I think there was enough there to.
I mean, I thought, like when we talked about the acting, I thought that Ezra Miller did a great job.
Yeah. Same.
Like, so Ezra Miller plays Barry Allen and Barry Allen.
But they're
And Barry Allen.
yeah, right.
Although I guess that is a Barry Allen that we already talked about.
Yeah.
So he plays a 28-year-old version of himself and an 18-year-old version of himself.
I think is what they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's like, it's been 18 years and it was like his 10th birthday was coming up or something.
Yeah.
And he goes back in time and stops his mom from dying and splits the timelines and ends up 10 years in the future instead of all the way back at his timeline.
Right. He gets pushed out of the Speed Force by what I thought was going to be a Speed Force demon.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, Speed Force demons, they're interesting because, they were in the show. Anyone who's seen the TV show on CW has seen a Speed Force demon before. And I was like, okay, so that's going to prevent him from going too much into the Speed Force.
Right.
And as we said, we're in spoiler territory, people. Yeah, it turns out it's the 18-year-old Barry Allen becomes addicted to trying to fix the timeline, and he spends his
because the world's about to end and there's no timeline after that for him.
His world ends. Yeah, so he's constantly trying to save it, and he just keeps getting more and more scarred and mutilated. Though, are we meant to believe that he eventually becomes completely encased in Kryptonian steel? Like, what was that plot point? Like, it sticking out of him like a pincushion's fine, but it being like full body armor, not so much. Like that was
How
weird.
long has he been in there?
I know, but like,
And is he like running through people at some point and just melding their
is
armor?
it just maybe? But the likelihood of it forming perfect armor around him as opposed to just impaling him through the heart, over the 40, 50 years they
well,
imply.
I mean, he heals so quick, and who knows?
Not that quick. He gets stabbed through the heart and dies.
Yeah, but his old bitch ass self, not his battle worn self.
No, the battle warns the young one gets stabbed
I
through,
know.
and that's what kills the old one eventually.
No, it kills him instantly because
it loopers him.
yeah. But I'm saying the old one, but you have the experience with metabolizing Kryptonian metal into his bloodstream.
Maybe.
It's called vaccination. And he was slowly gaining vaccination to this
God.
Kryptonian.
Yeah, he's gaining. Though the amount, could it be considered herd immunity because there's so much fucking Kryptonian metal in him?
No, but he did a great job as older self and younger self because his younger self really wasn't. So I'm guessing that the Flash isn't really autistic because the younger self doesn't have those same categories.
Yeah.
I think he was just super emotionally stunted.
Right.
Because he didn't have a dad or a mom.
Right, and then the maturity that he's developed by having the Justice League when he sees how immature like young him is without consequence, and they're always talking about like Batman's like losing my parents built me,
Right.
We're defined by our scars and our trauma, and for him to deprive himself of that, he turns himself into just like a quintessential kind of like college like fratty douche guy, and I mean it's played a little bit for humor, but it's good because it makes two very different styles of Ezra Miller's Flash. And so you're never, even without the haircut, tonally you could tell which one's which. And they responded in ways you'd expect them to respond. So they did a very good job writing the script. Ezra Miller did a very good job portraying both Flashes as completely different independent Flashes.
I feel like they made the 18-year-old Barry Allen, I think he was spoiled. I think his mom just like spoiled and coddled him because she was that kind of loving mother, and that's why he was like, dude, bro. Well, he didn't actually say that, which was pretty nice.
They don't say dude, bro. They say beeve. At first I thought they said Beeb, like it was a Justin Bieber thing, and I was like, oh God, that's so much worse. But then they said Beeb or whatever, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not?
No, but yeah, who knows what they're saying? But he did a good job of being both those characters.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton did a great job, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean,
if an acting class studied it, maybe it wouldn't be great. But for coming back as Batman, it was awesome, and it was so much fan service.
It was. There's this guy, Dave Cullen. He doesn't call it fan service. He calls it customer service because it's
that's what we're paying to see.
You're paying to see it, correct? He's like, if I bring a car to a mechanic and they fix it, it's not fan service. It's customer service. I paid you for this. So, but it worked. He was great. You know who really surprised me? I really liked Supergirl.
Oh yeah,
she was awesome.
Who was that actress?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I actually looked in the credits and I
don't know her name, but I was concerned because they spend which is a line. It kind of happened similar like in Flashpoint Paradox originally. Superman gets captured and he's kept weakened.
Right.
So, but this time it's Supergirl. And she's captured and kept weakened, and she gets some sunlight, and she does her first action sequence, and you can see it exhausts her. And I was like, I'm jaded by modern movies where I thought the next action sequence she'll be full power no matter what, but she's not. She's not full powered no matter what.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the strength to beat Zod. I thought it was very bold for them to keep losing.
Yeah,
I loved it because you don't really see it in modern movies. Nobody loses anymore. Like they had their bonding, they got together, everybody had their interactions. That's where the heroes win. But they kept losing, and that's what allowed them to keep resetting.
No, she did a great job. Her action sequence begged for hard R though.
Yeah, it did. Didn't
She's
it?
like slamming these guys 100 feet in the air and then jamming them to earth, and I'm like, that guy would explode.
Yeah, no, seriously, like that. It did. You're right. Like it was. Yeah. It'd be like if Homelander cut loose,
Right, yeah.
It's like there's not going to be any bits of these people left to identify them.
No, absolutely not.
No, it was really good, and she was a great kind of like addition to the team without like having to overshadow or. It's a Barry Allen movie through and through. They just did a really good job.
Everyone really is a supporting character. Like
they are.
And
They're
no
all
one
supporting
really
characters. All support him.
I'm trying to think of like actors that I thought did a great job, but they all did.
They all did.
His Ron Livingston did a good job as his dad.
Really
his
did.
mom's
The
actress
mom was excellent.
really.
Yeah.
But like you figure she was on screen for like 3 minutes total.
I know, but I mean, like she supported in all the right ways.
Yeah.
And then, like you get that nice scene at the end, which I thought was just cheese enough.
Yeah.
Just an emotional cheese enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't exploitive. He got his goodbye. Just enough.
I mean, it was a little out of the realm, but at the same time, it was.
It's fine.
You have to have it.
It was a different time. People used to hug each other in 2016. No, because remember he would have been 8 at the time.
It's Man of Steel, so that would have been 2015.
No, Man of Steel is when he's 18. So if he's 10, 2007. Of course they're happy.
Yeah,
they haven't lost their home to the market crash yet. So, yeah, people were a lot nicer to each other after September 11th, but before the housing market crashed. It was a golden couple of years. But it was good. It was good enough. I liked
Michael Shannon.
He didn't get much to do.
He didn't get anything to do. He was like the generic villain, but he was still the minute of screen time he had was good. I was happy to see him.
He's got presence, and that carries over too from because I know not a lot of people really cared for Man of Steel, which I'm still confused by. But like, if you like Man of Steel and you like his presence in that, he doesn't miss a step.
Yeah.
Like I know he's done some interviews where he said it felt a little unnatural or whatever. I couldn't tell. Couldn't tell. Everybody in the movie was a professional. I mean, I was very impressed. Plus, you believe a guy like Zod can take that kind of beating, but he's not done. Really impressive stuff there. What else is there? I know we're gushing about the acting and but it was just enough to keep us engaged. Plot is real simple. There's really not much else. We discussed how the CGI was kind of the thing that was not great, but again, troubled production. They had to keep going back and reshooting it. So how the big criticism of Marvel is always that they have these scenes we need to work into our plot.
Right.
And then but what if we did this and what if we did this? Now this movie felt like, all right, you're going to go back and redo these CGIs because we've fixed the plot. We don't have pre-established scenes you need to work the plot around. Did you ever see Black Widow?
No, I didn't actually.
At the end, there's this huge air base falling apart, and they'd already rendered most of that. So it has to end here, get it there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is one of the examples I read about, I think. But no, like even with the lackluster CGI, it's forgivable because it's in service of progressing either a character or a plot.
Right.
After each action sequence, they're not just thrown in, there's very few action sequences kind of overall. And I suppose the most gratuitous one, of course, is the beginning. Right. Because the story hasn't progressed, the characters haven't progressed, and the plot hasn't really gone and progressed. Every sequence outside of that opening, something changes after each action sequence. It pushes the plot and characters forward.
Yeah.
Which I found refreshing, because it wasn't just, well, here's an action sequence because it's been
we gotta save the world. Well, this one they don't.
Yeah, no.
Although they're trying to.
It's about accepting loss. It's a really, really good message there at the end. I recommend. I'm looking forward to it coming to the home cinema.
And I really hope it gets a sequel.
That's going to be tough because DC has been mismanaged. You know what? This is the end of our Flash review. We're gonna take a small break, shift gears, and then if you want, we're gonna be doing our little kind of just what we think went wrong with DC. So thanks for watching this Flash review, all 7 of you. And I don't know how to end these things. That's fine.
It's funny because you've actually been in jail for Flash.
It would have killed you to say that 30 seconds earlier?
Yes.
Oh.